In this episode, my wife Paige and I are going to answer all of your questions about natural family planning. What is it? Why do we do it? And why should you do it too? All of this coming up. Hey everybody, my name is Sean Hussey, host of Cold Brews and Catholic Truths. If you are new to my YouTube channel or listening to the podcast, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and hitting that notification bell. I release new content every single week dedicated to spreading and defending the truth of Catholicism and equipping you with the knowledge and the confidence to do the same. I am so blessed to be joined today by my beautiful wife, Paige, and we are going to talk to you about natural family planning. We're actually going to answer your questions. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you that just recently, I launched a Patreon page. And that is a page in which you can support this ministry financially. If this ministry has been a blessing for you and you want it to be a blessing for somebody else as well, you can consider supporting us financially for as little as $5 a month. Not only are you going to help support my wife and I and our daughter, our family, you will also become a partner on mission with me in spreading and defending the truth of Catholicism. So again, you can head over to patreon.com/Sean Hussey and you can give there for as little as $5 a month. Thanks so much in advance for your generosity. With that, let's get to today's episode. All right, so we are going to get to your questions. So what we did is we put it out on our social media pages to ask what questions do you all have about natural family planning. So this episode is going to be all about responding to the questions that came in from you guys. So let's get to it. Question 1 is, what is NFP, or what is natural family planning?
Natural family planning is the scientifically accurate and reliable basis for planning a family. It's modern. It's not the calendar method as you may have heard it before. It's based on each woman's individual cycles, and there's many forms of natural family planning. There's not just one type of natural family planning.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a way in which couples track the woman's fertility, her natural fertility cycle, her monthly cycle, and then they use the information that they get from natural family planning to either achieve pregnancy or postpone pregnancy. But as we'll get to here, there's also other really good things about using natural family planning, even if you're not currently married. One of the awesome things is about natural family planning is that it is endorsed by the Catholic Church because it allows a couple to prudentially space the births of children while not thwarting either end of the sexual act. And so the two ends of the sexual act are for babies and for bonding. So more technically, we say that they are for the procreative act and the unitive act. And so both of those are really essential to the nature of the sexual act. And so what contraception does is it actually thwarts the procreative aspect of natural family planning. It doesn't allow our bodies to work the way in which God intended. But natural family planning uses our bodies the way in which they were intended to prudentially, again, space the births of children. It can be used to either postpone but also achieve pregnancy.
Like Sean said, it's not only for married couples. You can also use it as a single person, or definitely when you're engaged if you're preparing for marriage. It can also be known as a fertility awareness-based method, FABM, or even FAM, fertility awareness method. And this is where charting your cycle comes into play, and you can see if you have a consistent cycle, or if your cycles are irregular, or you're having pain when you shouldn't, or you're having crazy PMS symptoms or anything like that. You can find out even before you're married that you might have something going on physiologically that you need to get checked out, because it could be someday down the road you practice natural family planning and you might experience infertility that you could have solved earlier on if you practiced when you were single. So there's by no means any time that's too late to start practicing, right. But start practicing now if you're single and watching this, because it is only beneficial to start charting early, definitely. And what's great about NFP is that there's not just one cold cut way of doing it. There's many different ways. It's not the rhythm method that you may have heard of, not the calendar method.
Right.
It's not only for people who have a specific 28-day cycle. I have the craziest cycles in the world, and we've had great success with natural family planning.
Right. So that leads to our next question, which is, what form of NFP do we practice?
Yeah, so when we first got married, actually when we were engaged, we started with the Billings ovulation method. So that's strictly charting cervical mucus, which is a whole nother thing that we can go into at a later time. So Google it if you're curious about all of that. But basically, you track that in the days of your cycle, and you're able to tell based on the different types of mucus that you see. The woman checks daily about and reads it, and you can start to begin to notice patterns within yourself of fertility. There's different types of mucus for when you're fertile and when you're not. And as you learn the method, you're able to start learning that about yourself. So when we first got married, we practiced that, and we practiced it for about a year and a half, and then successfully were able to achieve a pregnancy with our first daughter, Emma.
Yep.
So that was really great. I was in school, and we were just starting off getting married, and we were trying to space the birth of our first child for a little while, and natural family planning allowed us to do that perfectly. If you follow it, it's 99.6% effective, and it was for us too. And it also helped us know when during our cycle we should try to achieve a pregnancy. And luckily, on the first try, we were able to achieve Emma, which is a great gift. But now we do not practice the Billings method. We use the Marquette method. The Marquette method is not based on cervical mucus, although you can incorporate that aspect into it as well, but it predominantly focuses on the hormones in the woman's urine. So you focus on estrogen and the LH hormone. So you use the Clear Blue fertility monitor, which is typically used to help couples achieve pregnancy, but you kind of use it almost in a backwards way, and you use it and whenever you use it in the backwards way when you're trying to space children, I should say, which is right now what we're trying to do since we're fresh off having a baby. But you use it and you determine what days are your low days, your high days, and your peak days of fertility.
All right, third question. When do you start charting again postpartum?
This is also why we switched methods, because I was postpartum with Emma, and if you're strictly breastfeeding or even somewhat breastfeeding, your cycles can be thrown off a little bit. Your fertility might not return for a little while. Periods don't look the same. Everything is different. And so for us, we felt that we weren't most confident in the Billings method at this time because we wanted something that was just a little more reliable, because we felt like we couldn't quite read my cervical mucus readings correctly at this time. So we started right away postpartum using the Marquette method. Most doctors will clear you for intercourse at 6 weeks postpartum. So I think starting charting at 6 weeks postpartum is a great time to start. Or any earlier than that, you're still healing, and there's really no need to start charting as early as that, but you could definitely learn the method right when you're postpartum or even while you're pregnant, so that then as soon as your doctor clears you for intercourse, you're able to start charting and feel confident in your method. We started with our practitioner, and she was fantastic. We felt like she really covered everything super clearly, super concise, and within just a couple of days we were up and running with the method. And that has been super great for us in this postpartum time, and we'll probably continue it for a while.
Question number 4, what are your thoughts on the secular movement embracing NFP?
What are your thoughts, Sean?
I think that it's awesome. I think it's great. I think that I think God made our bodies in a certain way, and so if there's a secular movement that embraces that natural aspect of natural family planning, then that's a really good thing. I think we should be excited about that. I definitely think that from an evangelization standpoint, that natural family planning can certainly be that on-ramp maybe for somebody into Christianity if they find something about natural family planning to be appealing and interesting and a much better option than using contraception. And then they might discover that, it's the Catholic Church that has really encouraged this and taught this method for many, many years. And so hopefully that could be an on-ramp for folks to consider other aspects of Christianity as well. But I think anybody practicing NFP, if anyone thinks it's a good idea, I would agree. I think it's a great idea. Question 5, how does a college student start to track their cycle?
So I would encourage any college student, there's so many different apps on your phone that you can get to just start tracking. You can even just start tracking the days, and even just start by tracking your period and noticing how many days of the month your period takes place. And then after that, move on to cervical mucus and things like that. You can absolutely work with a practitioner. I know any natural family planning practitioner would be happy to work with a college student, a single person who is eager to start charting at a younger age or before you're married or anything like that. Because like I said before, there's absolutely no time too soon to start charting. So I would say for a college student, just download an app on your phone and start tracking just the basic aspects of your cycle, your period, and how many days your whole cycle lasts, and then go from there.
Question 6 is kind of a 4-part question. So
yeah, it was kind of 2 questions combined.
2 questions combined into one. So this is, when did you learn about NFP? How did you feel about it? Did you or Sean start the initial NFP conversation? What was that like? So it's kind of directed towards you first.
Mm-hmm. I first learned about NFP from Sean, actually. He is the youngest of 5 and has a few older sisters who are now my wonderful sisters-in-law, and they practice natural family planning. And so I learned about it from him through them, really, when we both were in college.
I learned about it in college at some point. Definitely from my siblings. I knew my siblings were practicing that within their marriages, but I didn't really know much about what it was until college, and then definitely until Paige and I started to consider a vocation to the married life, we started talking about it. So it was more familiar to me than Paige. Mm-hmm. I brought it to Paige, as she said, and she liked the idea of it right away. I mean, she was a Protestant at the time, but definitely was really appealing because, again, it's respectful of the body, it's respectful of the way God had made us, and it's respectful, I think, of the woman in particular in a marriage. Mm-hmm. And it allows for really, really awesome communication between husband and wife. And so for all of those reasons, I think it sounded like something for Paige that she was really interested in. Mm-hmm. And again, I think that leads to the fact that this isn't like, you don't have to be Catholic to do this or find this appealing or to start using this in your marriage, if you happen to be married. This is a great method of family planning for any person. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember even thinking before I was Catholic, and definitely before I even considered converting to Catholicism, I felt like natural family planning was something that I was going to do when I got married someday as a Methodist even. So there's absolutely no limits on what faith you should be to practice natural family planning. And I even remember being 15 years old and having terrible cycles, super painful, and a doctor suggested to me, and even some friends suggested to me, just to go on the birth control pill because it regulates your cycle. And I remember even at 15 years old thinking that there was something off with that there should be something better than just what covers up my pain, but really we should figure it out and get to the bottom of it. And natural family planning allows us to do so by figuring out why it's painful and when, and talking with the doctor and figuring out a way to actually fix what's wrong rather than just cover up symptoms.
Question 7. How do you explain NFP to somebody who thinks it doesn't work?
We feel like the best way to prove that it does work is just by simply showing the statistics. Yeah. If done with perfect use when trying to avoid a pregnancy, NFP has a 99.6% effectiveness rate, which there's a range really with each method, right, but 97 up to 99% effective rate. Just for reference, when attempting to prevent pregnancy, spermicides are 92% effective, diaphragms are 94% effective, withdrawal is 96% effective, the male condom is 98% effective, and IUD is 99.4% effective. The female sterilization is only 99.5% effective. So all of those methods are less effective than natural family planning. Only 2 that are more effective than natural family planning are by 0.1%, 0.2%, and that is the pill, which is 99.7%, and male sterilization, which is 99.9% effective.
And the great thing about natural family planning, again, that it doesn't come with any side effects. So the difference between the pill and things like that and natural family planning is those things are going to, although you might not achieve a pregnancy, and that's what you're hoping to do, you're also going to have some side effects that are going to have negative impacts on you and on your body. Whereas natural family planning, you're not going to have those side effects at all.
Yeah, so not only do you have the same exact, if not better, effectiveness rate of postponing a pregnancy, but you feel great and you're not putting anything harmful into your body.
All right, everybody, this is the final question, and I actually just responded to this question on a previous episode of Cold Brews and Catholic Truths, so you can go check that out. You can check out my YouTube channel. Just type in Sean Hussey, and you'll find it there as well. But this question 8, isn't natural family planning just Catholic contraception? Isn't this just the Catholic version of contraception? As Paige just read off all those statistics of the effectiveness of preventing a pregnancy using artificial birth control as opposed to natural family planning, a good follow-up is this question. Well, then what's different about natural family planning? Why does it matter from a moral standpoint? If I'm a Christian, if you're a Christian listening, then certainly you should be considering your family planning from a moral standpoint. So why does it matter then from a moral standpoint if I use NFP or if I just use some other form of natural family planning? And I think we've alluded to this kind of throughout this episode, but natural family planning does not thwart either end of the sexual act. So again, the two purposes of sex are for the union of the spouses of the couple and for procreation, so for babies and for bonding. So any couple practicing natural family planning is always open to life, because in using natural family planning, we use our bodies the way in which God made them to either achieve or to postpone pregnancy. It doesn't mean that a married couple has to have a baby every time you have sex, but it does mean that you have to always be open to life. So the problem with contraception is not that it's artificial, because there's a lot of things that are artificial, that we use, like medicine. But different than medicine, many contraception actually prevent your body from working the way in which they're supposed to work, rather than helping them to work the way in which they're supposed to work, which is what medicine does. So in that sense, contraception is actually the opposite of medicine. So that is definitely negative on our bodies physically, but it's also that goes against the natural law. And so in doing so, we find that would be immoral to use contraception, because it would intentionally thwart the procreative aspect of the sexual embrace or the marriage act.
Okay. So thank you so much for all of your questions. We hope that we were able to answer them in a helpful way for you. We pray that in your next good step with natural family planning, whether you're continuing practicing a method or maybe you're thinking of starting one, we pray that you would have success. And if you have any questions, you would not hesitate to reach out to us. We are here for any questions you might have and for any prayers that you might need.
Natural family planning has been such a gift to us in our marriage. We hope it can be a gift for you as well. All right, everybody, thanks for listening or watching another episode of Cold Brews and Catholic Truths. Don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes and all other podcast platforms, and just share this podcast, this ministry, on your own social media platforms. Have a great one, everybody.